Assalamu alaikum students. I hope you are fine and in good spirits. In the previous lecture, we discussed your lesson Nagasaki August 9, 1945. We discussed its main points, and we also discussed what was the message of the lesson. The lesson was about the atomic attack or the atomic bomb attack by America on two cities of Japan, that is Nagasaki and Hiroshima. This story was written by a survivor of the atomic bomb attack who lived in Nagasaki. And he told us about the situation of the people, the buildings, and everything else after the nuclear attack. Today, we will discuss the important questions of this lesson. So, let's start with question number one. What happened to the writer at the time of air attack? इस क्वेश्चन में आपने सिर्फ उस पार्ट को डिस्क्राइब करना है जब एटॉमिक बम गिराया जा रहा था, यानी जिस वक्त अटैक हुआ उस वक्त राइटर ने क्या किया या उसके साथ क्या हुआ, आपने सिर्फ उतना ही इस क्वेश्चन के आंसर में बताना है. Michiato Ishimaru was a professor of medicine at the Nagasaki University School of Medicine. So Michiato Ishimaru जो है, he became a doctor and he taught at the school where he was a student at the time of the attack. As a witness to the bombardment in Nagasaki, he gives us an unusual and striking view of natural warfare. Unusual because दुनिया में कहीं और चुके एटम बम लकीली इंसानों पर इस्तेमाल नहीं किया गया, सो हिज अकाउंट इज अनयूजुअल. और वो बहुत क्लियरली बहुत स्ट्राइकिंग पिक्चर के साथ हमें बताता है कि एटॉमिक बम के अटैक के बाद या उसके दौरान क्या कुछ हुआ या होता है. He writes about the Nagasaki bombing from the angle of a participant and has selected his details with utmost care to communicate the horrors he had witnessed. So, उसने जो भी डिटेल्स डिस्क्राइब की हैं उसने बहुत एहतियात और बहुत केयर के साथ वो डिटेल्स चूज़ की हैं ताकि वो उन हॉरर्स को क्लियरली अपने रीडर्स तक पहुंचा सके. So this is the introductory paragraph of your answer or the first paragraph of your answer. Now we will move on to the next paragraph. It was the month of August in 1945 when the writer was a first year student in Nagasaki Medical School. It was August 9 when he set out for his school at the usual time of 8 in the morning. Luckily, he had to come back because his train had been derailed in an accident. Derailed means कि वो ट्रैक से उतर गई थी. He returned to his hostel room. So why wasn't he in his school? Because he did not reach his school due to an accident with the train. At 11 a.m., he heard the sound of a B-29 passing overhead. B-29 is the name of the plane that dropped the atom bomb on Nagasaki. After a while, the air flashed with a brilliant yellow light, and there was a huge blast of wind. He got terrified and ran to save his life. He hid himself in a toilet with a fellow student. So, these are your next two paragraphs of your answer. In the first paragraph, we will discuss why the writer was in his hostel room and not in his school. And in the second paragraph, we describe when the atomic bomb fell, what the writer witnessed, and how he felt. Now, in the next paragraph or the last paragraph, we will describe what happened after the atom bomb fell. Everything around them was shattered. He was hit in his shoulder by a piece of glass and was bleeding. When his senses restored, he saw the horrible destruction around him. All the walls had changed into a heap of bricks. The sky had turned black, and the black rain started to fall. So, what happened? That he was hit and his shoulder was bleeding, so he was injured. He was not in his senses because of the huge blast. So, when he came to his senses, he saw the horrible destruction. Everything was destroyed, the walls were destroyed, the even the sky became black, and black rain started to fall on the city. This was the writer's experience at the time of nuclear attack. So, this is how the writer felt. First of all, he heard a blast and saw a huge flash of light, and then he ran downstairs and hid in the toilet. And after the blast, His shoulder was injured, and he saw destruction everywhere, and he witnessed the black rain falling from the sky. This is the answer to your first question. The question was, what happened to the writer at the time of air attack? Now we will move on to the second question. What was the condition of people coming back from Urakami? Urakami was the place where his medical school was and where the atom bomb directly fell. So now the examiner is asking us to describe the condition of the people who were in Urakami at the time of the attack. When the bomb fell, they were at the place where the bomb directly fell. So now we will discuss their condition. So first we will write our introduction paragraph. When the writer came to his senses, he tried to go to his medical school in Jurakami. It was very close to the center of attack. Here the rate of radiation was very high. He tried to go ahead but could not because the fire had broken out everywhere. So he wanted to get there, but because of the fire, he could not reach his school on the day of the attack. He saw the people who were coming back from Urakami, their condition was very bad. So the people who were coming back from Urakami, their condition was not good. They were in a very, very bad condition. Their clothes were tattered. Tattered means destroyed. They were in small pieces. The skin hung with their bodies and their limbs were missing. So legs, arm, feet, hands, they were missing. They were destroyed due to the blast. The skin was hanging on their bodies and their clothes were totally destroyed. They were terrified to death and looked with vacant eyes. So they were extremely terrified and their eyes were empty. They were still baffled and shocked. They were not in their senses. They were shocked. They could not understand what had happened to them. There were dead bodies lying around with white edges of bones showing through. So the attack was so severe that it took the flesh off the bones and the bones were showing clearly. Almost all living or dead were badly charred. All the living people and all the dead people were badly burned. Charred means burned, blackened. The effect on the people was so tremendous that none of them survived. The people who came back from Urakami on that day, all of them died within weeks. No one survived. All the victims died in the coming few weeks. The humanity was helpless before the immense power of weapons. People wanted to help, people wanted to save other people's lives, but the power of atomic bomb was and the weapons used in a war were so strong that no one could save anybody. The war was won by but the humanity lost. So this is the last comment by the writer. He says that the allied forces won the war, but humanity and the feelings of humanity, the feelings that we have for other people, those feelings, our sense of being human, they all died that day. So what was the question? What was the condition of people coming back from Urakami? And we discussed that their condition was very bad. Their clothes were torn, their bones were showing, their hands and feet were missing, they were mentally disturbed, and within weeks all of them died. So that is the second question of your lesson.